ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोर्श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम्। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य तोऽन्वयादितरतश्चार्थेषु भिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदायादिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। स्वस्ति अस्तु विश्वस्य खलः प्रसीदतां ध्यायन्तु भूतानि शिवं मिथो धिया। मनश्च भद्रं भजतादधोक्षजे आवेश्यतां नौमतिरप्यहेतुकी। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 10, beginning from verse number 23. So this is King Rahugan responding to the statements of Bharat Maharaj. Because Bharat, when he was chastised by the king, he was carrying his palanquin or sibika, then he spoke back to him and explaining how he is really not the carrier, nor the king is the real king. And then king starts responding. He jumps down from his palanquin and then he responds. So he was basically first asking who is he, and his words are very deep and meaningful. And then he in a way was refuting the sage of Brahmana Bharat. Because if you want to clarify something, you have to raise questions, raise doubts. You just hear and then you don't know whether we understand or not. So he is not accepting what Bharat said, that there is no, I'm not performing any labor, I'm not carrying it. That is, how do you say that? He says, I have myself experienced that you feel tired after doing some labor. And then Bharat said that I don't feel pain and misery. So that says, how is that possible? You are in the body. And then he gives the example of pot on the fire which has rice in it. So how the heat comes through the pot, through the water to the rice and then cooks it. So like that Atma is, soul is there in the body. So it must feel. So this is what he was countering the statements of Bharat. So the question was asked that whether I suffers or not suffers and who is the I. So if you have anything to say.
Must be the body with the soul, because without soul the body would not suffer.
Okay, I couldn't hear it.
It must be the body with the soul, because the body alone would not suffer.
So what anyone else has to say something for this?
The soul never contacts matter. What? Again? The soul? Soul never contact matter.
There is absolutely no connection between the soul and the matter.
So then who suffers?
I would say it is the mind which perceives everything, but only possible through the power of the soul. Because without the soul, the mind cannot work. But the soul without the mind cannot perceive. So they are interrelated. But the soul alone will not suffer. But the mind itself feels the ego, no, I am this and that wrongly, because the soul is, if the soul is not conscious, if the mind is not conscious.
So everybody agrees to this?
Well, I don't understand it, so
It sounds good.
It's like a child who said naked, the king is naked.
I know that I'm not my ideas, but what I am, I was trying to wrestle with it today. We were talking about it, and I know I have a body, a soul, a spirit, and
Fully equipped.
yes,
The way it is.
but I don't know how they work together. Or it's interesting the way you kind of link them together, but I can't make those links right now.
I have a suggestion that it is aditya, it is inconceivable.
It is what?
Inconceivable. Inconceivable.
Conceivable.
Unconceivable. Opposite of conceivable, because there is a connection and there is no connection at the same time. So it is inconceivable. This is
So the question is whether it is inconceivable or not conceivable. The point is whether soul suffers or not.
No.
so soul doesn't suffer for sure.
No?
The soul is that aspect of God that we have. It's the
So
spirit.
why do we say that I am suffering?
Because we're
Because
accustomed
of the
to
mind.
yeah.
The mind
Say I,
perceives.
mine.
The ego.
Ego.
So ego is in the soul or is it in the body?
It's a connection of both, because without soul the body doesn't have an ego. It's dead.
In Latin, ego means false I, and it can be that two I exist in the same time. So you have to get rid of false I to be connected with the higher self, with the spirit. So for me, we should say there is a pain, but no. I don't feel pain because there is a pain. So it's like something connected with, not with I, absolutely not. We say actually wrong with people. I think the good says that there is a pain, because I, it's high intelligence, it's spirit.
But you say that I feel pain or I'm hungry. I'm suffering from hunger.
Well,
But
there's
the
no
body
other
is
term.
not-
There's no other term that people can think of to use, so they say I. And, you
Because
know,
we
me.
use it, yeah, but
My
actually
name
there is
is-
a hunger. Because I is never hungry.
It-
It's I.
It's an identifying.
Who
Wrong
says there is a
identification.
hunger? Who said?
And it's like I'm sitting. I was
Who is
sitting.
experiencing the hunger? Hunger cannot experience itself. Right?
That's true. I think mind creates this. I mean, because if I was thinking about it, it's like I say to myself, Beata is sitting. So who said that Beata is sitting? Beata is observing. So who is telling this Beata is observing? I was thinking this way. So it must be mind. It must be mind. Because the real I, it's absolutely when we kill the ego, the real I will be connected. So I think when we are saying I'm hungry, whatever, I think it's wrong. We should say there is a hunger. It's my opinion. There is courage. There is a pain. It's my opinion.
Is it your opinion?
It's
Or
my
there is opinion?
There's my opinion. You see. Yeah. My mind created. Yeah, it's true.
That's a good one. You cannot even make one sentence with your philosophy.
No, something is mind. I think mind creates this. I think soul doesn't suffer. I think soul is recording. It's kind of have records from all our past lives, and it's coming with certain information. So, I mean, I think that soul is not hungry. I don't think that soul can be hungry. I think it's mind creates.
Really interesting.
So mind is hungry.
Yeah. I'm stuck.
Get food anymore.
No, we have body. And
Solve
absolutely.
your problem from there.
Maybe we should all fast and find
With
out.
the cheek.
I think the body is hungry, but the body can only be hungry if the soul is present.
And the mind gives
Yeah.
information.
And
The mind perceives it.
And then body cannot eat it.
The mind perceives it because the body alone is just
Exactly.
matter. So it needs some more subtle thing to perceive it. But without the soul, nothing is working.
It's like
So
mind's
the
like
soul
GPS.
is the actual power in everything. But the soul alone also, I think the soul alone without the mind is in a total different state. No? That's why maybe he says, I'm not hungry or I'm not slim. I'm not in that state, so I cannot say how is it when only the soul remains.
And could it also be this, Maharaji, that because the Lord says, and anyone who reads the scriptures or hears it, the Lord says, I am that I am, I am. And then people who relate to that kind of consciousness can say, well, I am also, I am this and I am that. But it's really more narcissism, you know.
Why is it nervous?
It's just narcissism. One just
Why?
gets, a person can say, I am this, I built that, I do this, I am that.
He didn't.
But it's
He built it.
the physical aspect, or maybe the imagination to build something. But then that doesn't mean that, now I got a little twisted around here.
Who's I?
I mean, if you cook some food and you say, I cooked food, what is wrong with that?
You have to use some term. You could say, the person cooked the food, meaning I did it.
Yeah.
But there has to be some reference to a sense of self.
Yeah, don't you have that?
Well, that's in the I, that's in the ego.
My alive body cooked.
But the ego also means easing God out.
It is mankind.
And one feels that he or she is all that there is. That's another way to see it. You tell us, Babaji.
I'm trying to figure out.
We are ready for you.
So you see, the thing is that he's stuck to his point. It's very good.
What's the point here?
That this is a combination of two things. Yavat sanjayata kinchit sattvam sthavar jangam Kshetra Kshetragya Sanyogat Tadviddhi Bhartarsha. This is the basic Sankhya philosophy, that everything here is a combination of these two principles, conscious and inert matter. Matter does not have consciousness in it. It is inert. Cannot feel. Consciousness means feeling, thinking or desiring. So that consciousness principle, that is what we call as Atma. Soul is also not a proper word, because soul signifies something which is coming from the Christian background and they have wrong ideas about the soul. It is Atma. Let's use the Sanskrit word. So this Atma is the conscious stuff. And this consciousness is its inherent characteristic. Inherent characteristic means you cannot remove it from it. You cannot separate the consciousness from the Atma. Atma can never lose it. It will not be deprived of it, nor it fizzles out, or it diminishes in its consciousness. It's source of consciousness eternally and unchanging. So Atma never changes. It remains what it is. The changes happen only in the inert matter. All the changes which you observe around you or even in your own body, they are only happening in the physical matter, not in the Atma. So at present, these two things are together, and two things being together, again they are not together in the physical sense, because Atma cannot contact anything which is anatma or which is not like Atma. These are like two separate types of energies and they cannot physically contact. So Atma is not like in some physical touch with body, mind or anything. But by its power, which is inconceivable, as I said, that we are able to fathom it, how it does that, it is able to throw its consciousness into the mind, body, ego, and then they acquire consciousness. So in Bhagavatam the example is given that just like you have a magnet. So magnet without touching iron filling can move it. You can have magnet on top of the book or below the book and put some iron piece and you move the magnet and that will also move. So it is not contacting it, but its magnetic power or magnetic field is influencing without physically touching it. So in the same way, Atma, without physically touching anything, spreads the consciousness into the body, subtle and gross body. And just as this filling cannot influence the magnet, it is the magnet which can influence the iron filling or iron piece, not other way around. Like that, the body cannot influence the Atma. Whatever happens to the body, whether it is growing or diminishing or dying or any other change which happens in it, cannot have any bearing onto the Atma. So Atma has, because Atma is a conscious and consciousness signifies individuality. Matter does not.
It signifies what?
Individuality.
Okay.
Sense of I. Individual means that I am separate from everything else. That's what makes one individual. You feel you are an individual, so you feel that you are not that person. You feel yourself separate from everyone else.
Is Atma also in animals and plants?
Yes. Atma is in everything. That's why that is the first statement I made. That everything is a combination of Atma. So they also have Atma. Plants also have, animals also have. Although in Christianity they said that women did not have Atma, so it's only recently they said women also have soul. Previously they said women don't have souls. But in Vedic literature they say even plants have soul, and now it is scientifically proven fact that they also have life. So life means Atma. Wherever you feel life, that means there is a presence of Atma there, because it's only life source. And that gives individuality. So therefore plants also have feelings. Although their feelings may be not as explicit as ours. They don't have the instruments to express their feelings like us, but we have. So, and then the body is very interesting, that this matter, it manifests at different level. So we have solid matter like stone piece, we have liquids, we have gases, we have fire, we have space, we have mind. This is all matter. Then we have the material ego. So there is a material ego, and this material ego cannot function without the consciousness from the soul. This is the interesting thing. And this is where the link comes between the two. That soul has its own ego or sense of I. Ego, I don't know whatever it means. Let's not use the word ego, it's sense of I. Soul has its own I consciousness. Body has a material piece which can also say I, if it has life in it. Without life, it's just a piece of matter. It's like you have robots. So if you put battery in the robot can also say I. Right? Robot can talk to you or start walking and looks like a person. But you remove the battery, and just maybe some chips are there inside, but nothing else. It won't move, it won't do anything. So our body is like a instrument, a robot, and it is the soul which gives energy to it. Then the I in the body, which is like a material chip, that starts saying I. And that is the I which feels. Anything happens in the body, then say I in this, I feel this. Not the Atma. Atma remains separate. So Atma has his own I, and there is an I which is material I. And that material I becomes energized by the I of the Atma. And then you start speaking. So you remove the soul, then body is just like a robot without cell in it. It doesn't function. So therefore when Bharat was speaking that now in our present state we are not realizing our real I. We are only at the level of material I. So that's why we are called ignorant or not self-realized. So that's why it is called self-realization or enlightenment. Means to realize your real self, what you are. Now you are realizing your material self. Whatever you speak at present, if I ask you who are you, you will say I am Belinda, I am from America, I am a therapist. So all you are talking about is your material body. And this is the material ego speaking. And all your experiences are through this material ego, therefore they are all material experiences. And your desires therefore are all material desires, and they are all related with body ultimately. Whatever you want. So this is what common persons are doing. But there is a possibility of actually knowing your true self and seeing this distinction between these two. At present, we don't know the distinction between these two. And actually there is a real I sitting inside and there is a material I. So at present we only are functioning at the level of material I, and we are saying I did this, I did that, I am so, I am this, I am that. So it's like these two eyes are sitting together, and this eye is sending like waves to the material eye and making it alive. And this guy, this material eye, is oblivious of the other I. He thinks it is me only, I am alive actually. It is me who is doing. Although by itself it has no power in it. So by the process of yoga, bhakti yoga, you can come to a stage of realizing your real I, real self. And when you realize that, then you know that there is a material I and there is a body and you are not it. So this is where Bharat was speaking, because he is actually a realized person. So therefore when king says that you are carrying the weight, you must be tired. So he says, no, I am not carrying the weight, because now he is speaking, although he is using the mouth and tongue and everything to speak, which is material, but now he is speaking from the level of the real I. So you see his point when he says that I am not carrying the weight, he is right. Why he is not carrying the weight? Because the weight is being carried by the body and he is seeing himself as completely separate from it. It's like you sit in the car and although we say that I travel, but actually you should say that I sat in the car and it is car which is moving. I am not moving. It is car which is carrying. Otherwise you carry 50 kg load in your car and you say, I got 50 kg, I carried 50 kg of potatoes with me. So you are not carrying. You use these words, but actually it is the car which is carrying. In this case we know it. We don't speak like that. We take all the credit of ourselves. Whatever car is doing, we say, I did it. Whatever some machine is doing, we say, I did it. This is how material ego works. But we can also say that it is the car which travelled, it is the car which carried the weight, and I just sat, which is a fact. Especially if you have a chauffeur or a driver driving and you are just sitting and ordering, then you are not actually doing anything. You are only giving energy to this guy in the form of order to do. But you will say, well, I came and I did this and I brought this. And so somebody may own an industry making computers and you are asking, what do you do? I make computers. He doesn't do anything like that. He has hundreds of people working under him who are doing everything. But he is the one who is giving the energy for this, so he says like. So that is the discrepancy between the talk of two people. And the king is speaking from one level and Bharat is speaking from another level. So he is not able to understand the level of Bharat and therefore he is arguing back, which is good because now when he argues back then Bharat will explain in the next chapter, which is very compact. There are only 17 slokas but filled with knowledge. But he will just give the essence. So therefore when we say that who is the I, then you have to understand like that. Or who suffers. So all the suffering is happening only in the body, in the mind, not in the soul. But it is also a fact that without the soul this will not work. So the whole purpose of all Indian schools of philosophy, there are so many philosophies in India, is to get this distinction between these two. So many types of philosophies, tantras and mantras and yantras and yogas, kriya yoga, dhyan yoga, raj yoga, laya yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, karma yoga. All these things are actually designed. It's like in the West they do research and they come up with so many gadgets. So in India they did research only on this one field. Solve this problem because this is the basic problem. If you don't solve this problem, you can have anything with you. You are still an ignorant and you are bound to suffer. As long as you will remain ignorant of yourself, that suffering will continue because you are in ignorance of yourself. When you will wake up, then you know that I don't suffer. So that's what he was speaking. So now he is giving an example that how we suffer. But Bharat will refute again when we read this. So now he is continuing to speak. Is this clear, this point?
Can I ask one question? So if Bharat is saying, I'm not feeling hungry or tired, then does he really not feel it because he is in this consciousness?
He will actually feel that it is the body which is feeling.
So he feels it but separate from his real identity.
Yeah, right. Just like you go in a car, you know that the car needs petrol. So you don't say, I need petrol. Although we talk like that, we need gas. Right? Even driving, you say, in America they say gas, in Europe they say benzene, in India we say petrol. So whatever, you say, I need petrol. We say here like this. In America, I need gas, I need to take gas. So actually it is not that you need it, it is your car needs. So the proper statement should be that the car needs gas to fill them. But we don't say that. So this is identification, because we are actually identifying with the car and speaking. So Bharat is not identifying like that. So that does not mean that he does not know that the body is feeling hungry. The whole system works, he has a mind, but he knows that it is not he who is. So he has separated these two egos. So even when he is carrying the weight, it's not that he will not feel tired. And when I say he, again, I am speaking in the normal language. But he sees himself different from the body, so he can say, well, the body is tired. So he will speak in third person as he was speaking, and he will go on speaking like that, not only one statement, and then the second again you come back there. Because he is actually feeling like that. So he will say, and he may call body as Bharat. He may say Bharat is feeling hungry, Bharat is tired, Bharat is fat, Bharat is sick. He can talk like that.
But there would be also possibility of a state where he is not at all conscious, let's say conscious.
That is also
There's
possible.
like a samadhi state.
That is possible also. But then you become
Then he is
absolutely
differently
impractical.
functioning.
You cannot function anymore. Because there are different levels of your consciousness. So you can become so absorbed internally that you lose external consciousness completely. You cannot even maintain your body.
But this state of consciousness can be attained by Brahmavali.
Yeah, you can also do.
So once, let's say, the person or the soul realize this difference between these two eyes, then there is no way to go back, being caught again.
Why do you want to go back?
No. I'm just saying, if we made it, we made it. So it will never come back again in the same consciousness.
It can come in some rare case, as he talks about the offense. If you can offend some great devotee of the Lord, he will speak this in the last verse, then you can be covered. But that is rare thing. Why would one do that when he is realized like that? And just to show the possibility. Because as long as you have this material body, means as long as you are existing in this material body, then the chance is there, possibility is there, not that it's going to happen, it's possible.
So then when a person realizes that his soul is separate from the body, he realizes also that he is part of God.
That depends what process you are following. If you are following Bhakti Marg, yes. If you are following Advaita Marg, then there is no question of part of God. You are Brahma. So these are two separate paths.
To have the knowledge is one thing, to carry out in action is another thing.
To have knowledge is one thing, and to have the experience of it.
Yeah.
That is another thing. So in the beginning we don't have the experience. Therefore first we hear and acquire theoretical knowledge, understand it, comprehend, and then we act on it. And then we come to a state of realization. So then you will actually have the experience of. So this is this first stage. Because if you don't even know this, then no experience will not have. So knowing is very important.
So to surrender means to leave the ego. To surrender.
Yeah. Surrender means to realize this fact. It's the path of devotion that I am part of God. So to accept that basically. Surrender means just to accept that I am part of God. And if I am part of God, then naturally I am meant for Him, because part is meant for the whole.
But the question, why sometimes what real life feel like a simcha, and sometimes feel like material body.
What is that?
But why people my real life understands that my not real ego is not good. But why if I understand this material world not good, my not real ego not good, but I can't long time stay in my real life. Why my consciousness all time
Because
to the other place?
Because of our past experiences. We have our past experiences, and they are the ones which are controlling us.
Concentration, control. This is concentration problem.
Not
Strong of
concentration.
mind or strong of soul.
Well, the problem is not concentration, the problem is this samskara, the impressions. The past experiences are very deeply ingrained inside, and they are the ones which are controlling our thought process. And because they are controlling our thought process, then depending on how strong they are, then they influence our thinking. So we listen, and then we understand, but then our previous experiences, they overpower us, and then we again forget it, or we are not interested in it, or we don't pay attention to it, and then again we get back into our normal thinking. So that's why we have to hear again and again, again and again.
Many years, many life.
So that we overpower those samskaras and make this impression stronger. That's why we need practice. Otherwise you hear it once, you understand, then why should you do anything else? So the problem comes our past lives, past experiences, past activities which we have done, and we have become attached to those things. That's why we read how Bharat, he was trying to not become attached to anything, because he had the past experience and he remembers it, and he knows the consequences of it. So now he doesn't want to put his finger again into the fire. So because he realized it. We are not realized, we only hear it, so we don't give much attention. Just to tell you that if you don't put your finger in the fire, it will burn you, that is one thing. And you have put your finger in the fire and you have burnt it, that is another thing. So the person who has burnt his finger, he will be very careful next time. The other one may not be. So that is experience. So experience we have of suffering, but we forget it. We forget very quickly. We go through an experience, we suffer. We go to the Friday night party and you drink, dance, and you get a hangover next day morning and you say, oh my God, I never want to do it again. But then come Friday, you do it again. So you go on doing, this is what people go on doing in their life.
The path of realization is not the easy path. Probably the hardest path. It takes a lot of discipline to stick at it.
Yes, it's not easy. And it's not easy because of the experience. Actually, it's not difficult. Because what is easy and what is difficult depends on what is inside me. I'm agreeing with you, but I can also disagree, yes, because for me it is very easy. For me the other thing is very hard. If you ask me to go to a party, then I'm saying, oh my God, what am I doing here?
That's right.
So what is hard and what is easy, it depends what is inside you. So really speaking, and I agree with you, because that is the case with most people. Because they have experiences which are not related with realization, which are not related with path of realization, and because of that it looks very hard. So just like if I have never played tennis, and it is very difficult for me even to hit a ball that I cross the net. And even if I cross, then it will go outside the ball. It will go somewhere. But one who has practiced, for him it's simple. And you say, how is he doing it so effortlessly? So what is the difference between two? Because one has experience inside which is guiding him. He knows how much pressure, how to handle it. The other guy doesn't know. So easy and difficult depends on that. Otherwise it's very easy, it's very pleasurable. Because this is what puts you in your own real self. See, it's actually easier than anything else.
But the situation you're taking is good because you're talking about going into a party where the majority of the individuals will be drinking. And if you're the only one that doesn't drink, you have to dissociate yourself from the others, which is the hardest thing to do, because we like as human to associate with the others. And now you have to dissociate from all the others.
Right.
And that's not an easy thing to do.
Exactly.
Because you want to associate with others, you don't want to be different, and that's why often you'll start drinking with the others,
Right.
to join in and to be like the others.
So that's why you say that a man is known by the company he keeps. So we are basically product of society. And we are doing things because others are doing it.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is that I am doing it because you are doing, and you are doing it because I am doing it. And then we both think that we are independent. It is the third thing. So basically people are imitating each other. And yet they think that we are free. So really speaking, nobody is free. You ask them to, they can dye their hair this side yellow, this side blue, and cut it from here like this, all kinds of fashion I see these days. So they think that they are free, they can do anything, but actually they are also imitating somebody.
Yeah.
You try to tell them that you shave completely and put a tilak, they will not do that. Why? It is also different, because they are not able to imitate this thing. They are able to imitate which is accepted within the norms of the society. With some people, completely like this, wearing dress like this, that they won't do that. So they are not really free then. They have seen it somewhere, they have read it somewhere, in some movie somebody did it. So then they get the idea, I want a hairstyle like this, I want to wear a dress like this. So basically they are imitating. So that's why it's very difficult. So it needs a bold step to follow spiritual path, to follow this path of realization. You have to be very bold, because you will face a lot of opposition from everybody. As you said, that everybody is drinking and now you stop drinking. So everybody will like you not to pop out of the party. So they'll say, why? What is wrong with you? Come on. They will even like to tell you, come, don't pay, I will pay for you.
Yeah.
They would not like that you go away. So that's why people remain entangled. So that's what we saw in the Bharat's case, that how he was very fixed and very strong, and he said, no, I don't care. People criticize me, I tolerate it. So we are not willing to do that. How much insult he has to face, he faced. I don't care. That's my life. This is freedom. So he is completely free. Therefore he was able to speak to the king fearlessly. Because he doesn't fear. He was able to do anything. Because he is situated in his own self. His life is not guided by anybody else's parameters. It's not because he is doing this, so I must do it. If I don't do like this, then what will he think of me? So our life very much depends on others' opinions. What others will say about me. We make so many calculations from that. Even our dress, how I appear. Mostly we dress for others.
And that's a form of conditioning.
Of course, that is conditioning. But we don't think like that. Nobody thinks like that. This is conditioning. Because we have become so conditioned that now we don't feel the conditioning. It's like if you come and live here in the heart, then you don't feel heart so much as when you come from the West. You get conditioned to it.
I wrote, people don't understand. The Lord Shiva controls material, or Lord Shakrasham. Some process, some of real life control Lord Shiva. We must pray to him to
There's no need to. There's no need to pray to him. Ultimate controller is Krishna.
Sankarsana is Krishna expression.
Yeah, you just pray to Krishna. There's no need.
He controls real life or not real life?
Yes, he controls.
Not real life.
Who's Sankarsana?
These some questions that I wrote in Srimad.
Real life is controlled by Krishna's. Mamayavan so jiva loka jiva bhuta sanatana. He says, jiva is my part. Manasa sthani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati.
A special mantra to this.
Mahamantra is enough.
What's the role of spiritual master in this process? He must open Sikhadeha, or he can give me some spiritual soul to.
He will give when you become qualified. You have to do sadhana yourself. You cannot do anything without that. This process will come. He will speak about it in the next chapter. The role of Guru and role of mantra. He will talk about it.
She has a question. She asked if how can we observe the samskara without being affected by it? Just to be an observer, not being affected by our samskara.
We become affected when we become attached to them. If we are not attached, then we can observe them. But when we become attached, then we fall under their prey. So that is the subtle difference. And that's what happens usually, that we don't observe them indifferently. We observe them with attachment, with some like or dislike. So you have to observe and not be one with it. So that is need to be practiced. So somebody says something to you, then immediately you react. Because you are not observing indifferently. You are observing and you are also along with it. So then you think it is happening to me. So immediately there is a reaction. So then you have to separate yourself from this. That yeah, he is saying, but let me see what is the outcome of it, or is it good or bad. And not this. So somebody criticizes, that criticism may be wrong, or it may be right. You can evaluate if you remain indifferently. Tatastha or unattached, detached. Then you can evaluate it. But when we are attached, then we don't evaluate and we immediately take it. And either we are happy because I am being praised, or we become distressed. Somebody is criticizing me, or we get angry. Who the hell are you to tell me like this?
Is that we use also our intelligence?
Yeah, intelligence is necessary to make this distinction. But we don't use intelligence most of the time. And that's the big problem. Mostly our intelligence is sleeping. Or we use intelligence wrongly, use it for attachment, to rationalize our attachments. That's something which is wrong and I want to take the wrong action, then I will find a logic for it, rationale, why it is right. Because otherwise your intelligence will keep on bothering you. Don't do this, your conscience will hurt you. So then we find a logic, some argument within your own mind to satisfy your own conscience and say that no, it's not like this. This person does not understand me. He's just envious and speaking in this way. So then you find out, you will find out something, your intelligence will tell you. So this is misuse of intelligence. So this is how people work in the material world. Everybody has been given intelligence by God and its purpose is to discriminate between your material I and your real self. And for that you have to become a detached observer. But we don't do that. So we use intelligence only to propagate our material existence. So instead of thinking that I don't want to go to party, it is not good for me, it doesn't bring any benefit to me, I'll find reason, well if I don't go then everybody will criticize me and then my boss will be upset and will think I'm a weirdo. And so your mind, your intelligence will give you arguments why you should go. And what is life anyway without it? So this is how people work. So this is the best psychology which is being taught here, because it goes to the root of the problem. Then once you understand, then you know why human beings are behaving in a particular way. So you understand that they are guided by these attachments, these desires, and they take decisions based on those things. And you will understand from where these desires are coming and how they are generated and how they influence you. So this is what is being taught here in a very simple manner.
When the attachment is very strong or something, seems that there is not enough space between the action and the reaction. It's just, it goes so fast that sometimes, oh my God, I'm like a machine, somebody press the button and you're reacting, like automatic. There is nothing in between. It looks like that because of the attachment there is no gap. It's like we are really guided like machines by these attachments.
Yeah, that is what happens, that when you become attached, that's what I'm saying, then your intelligence you just put aside like a short circuit. It becomes like a reflex. It's like when you play, I gave the example of tennis. When you become a good tennis player, somebody hits you, it's not that you make a decision that now I'm going to make a stroke or a volley, it's a reflex. automatically your body takes an action. In the beginning you are taught that if a ball comes like this, you have to do like this, make a stroke like this. You consciously make decisions. But by doing it thousands and thousands of times, then it gets into you, your genes. So then you don't need to make a conscious decision, it just goes. So same thing happens when you become attached to things, then it becomes a reflex. So somebody says, then immediately you blurt something or you become upset or get angry or do whatever.
Could it be that because of something that happened to you when you were very young, you had a reflex at one point, and this situation repeats all your life until you understand that first time where you were hurt and you develop that mechanism, this is what you will do for the rest of your life until you realize where it came from, and this is not what you should be doing in that situation.
Yeah, I think that we are all in this situation because something has always happened to everybody. We are either I react for one thing, you react for another, and we are all in the same situation. So we are not really acting, we are just reacting.
Yeah, but he is also right that there are things which also bother us from our childhood. So the phenomena is same, whether it happens because you have done it something many times or you have become attached or you have had some deep traumatic experience. The idea is that anything which is deeply embedded in your heart, so that will create problem. And problem in the sense that it will not allow you to discriminate properly. As soon as that situation arises, you will be so much overwhelmed by the situation that you lose your intelligence.
Yeah.
You become completely occupied by it, overpowered by it, and then you just act without any control over yourself. So that happens, of course, in those specific situations, but even otherwise, most of the time, that's how we are behaving. It's just a matter of intensity. That when the samskaras, the impressions are very intense, then they control you more. And if they are not so strong, then they control you less. So then you get a little more leeway to think or time. But all the time there is some loss of our own ability to think properly because of our previous samskaras, impressions. So sadhana means to become aware of this, to observe it consciously. And then when you start doing that, then this reaction will start receding. Then these embedded impressions, they will start becoming weaker and weaker. And then you will not react immediately. You may still react, but not immediately. And then slowly you will feel like reacting, but now you will be able to hold yourself. And then the stage will come that you will not react. So this is how you will progress. So that's why in the beginning it is very hard. As you said, that the path is very difficult because you react and then you feel frustrated with it. So this is possible if you remain aware of it. You have to, all the time you have to remain aware.
No, but it seems like in Vaishnavism this is not very emphasized. It is more emphasized in Jnana Yoga to become aware, conscious. In Vaishnavism there's not much of this.
Yeah, so then you also see the outcome of it. What is the outcome?
Yeah, very glad.
Same thing.
So
But actually,
we should put more attention on this.
well, I'm reading Bhagavatam only,
Mm.
and this is a book of Vaishnavas. And this is what he's going to talk here. So it's all there. Whatever I've said, I've not said anything outside of Bhagavatam. So we read Kapala's teachings in 3rd Canto. He spoke of all this. Maybe elaborating on it. He may be saying it in sutra form because he's speaking to an audience who understands. But basically it's all there. So in Vaishnava actually you have to be more aware because the whole problem is of the offense as he is going to talk. He already said, I'm not afraid of Indra's thunderbolt, I'm not afraid of the stick of Yamaraj, I'm not afraid of Varuna's pasha and all these things, but I'm afraid of offending a Brahmana. So what does it signify? We are not going to meet Indra or Yamaraj or Varuna. We don't have to bother about it. We are going to meet people here. So we have to be very aware.
Yeah. It's amazing in Vaishnavism actually, it's also there in the form of offenses.
Yes.
You have to be very careful all the time.
So that means you have to be very attentive.
Yeah.
So we worship deity, how attentive you have to be. There are so many rules. They are actually just to make you very attentive. In chanting, and we recite them every day. So what is that for? To remind you all the time. So it's not that it is not there. We may not follow it, or we may not understand it, or we may not see it like that. But it is there.
So this awareness is in the frame of the seva for the Vaishnava.
Yeah, that awareness in Gyan Marg is one type. Our awareness is that we want to do anything anukulasa sankalpa pratikulasa vajna. Not to do everything which is favorable and not do anything which is unfavorable. That is the basic principle of surrender. It's the beginning of devotion. So here actually there is more awareness because it's personal. In Gyan Marg there is Brahman. So you can't offend Brahman. It's beyond offense. But here we have Krishna, we have Radha, we have devotees. Everybody can become offended. We have Tusa, we have the holy name. So it's more awareness here. Bharat Maharaj was walking, he didn't want to step on the ants. That's how the whole problem came. He was being very aware of life.
If you have so it is towards him, but I do it not in real life because I don't know. I am in this body, but this body name Guru Ananda Madha. This is not Alexander, material body. He gave me spiritual name. If I feel my silver like Ananda Madha, this is real karma because in scriptures Shilpada wrote that if you make silver in spiritual body, you have no karma. If you have silver in, like this body, you have karma. But my body, if I understand that Ananda Madha, my spiritual name, this is material silver or spiritual.
In Bhakti there is nothing material. It may look material.
If I understand that Ananda Madha,
if you understand that, then you don't have any karma. But the problem is that you don't understand like that. So in Bhakti Marg, once you take to the path of Bhakti, there is no more karma. But you have to understand that. You have to accept it. But we don't. So then we talk of karma, material body, spiritual body. So once the Guru, you have accepted Guru, he has given you the name. And if you accept that, then there is no materialism anymore.
But it is not my spiritual body because I have
Why are you talking about all the time spiritual body? Why don't you just think the basic thing? The problem is that we are all thinking of some utopian ideas. First, stand on the ground. So first try to think that this is my body and this body is spiritualized. Forget about this Siddhadeha, which we are always saying Siddhadeha.
Because this Buddha, I take with Hare Krishna and I'm offering to Krishna some mantras. This will be purified.
Purify means, what does it mean purify? What do you mean by purify?
Krishna is no different. If I
So how does it get, what is the impurity in it? What is the impurity?
Impurity? It's purified.
Yeah, I'm asking, when you say purify means you are removing the impurity. So when you write Krishna on your hand, what impurity have you removed?
But his name is not different from Krishna.
That is all right, but you are saying the body becomes purified, and I'm asking how does it get purified?
This Mahaprasad. Krishna, if we take apples to offering to Krishna, this is not apples, this is prasad.
Yeah, so therefore you use your body in the service of Krishna, that is purifying. Impurity is when you use it only for your pleasure, that is the impurity. You can write Krishna here and still do the same thing, and where is the purification?
Not strong of holy name.
What holy name will do if you are not interested in serving Krishna? Holy name is not going to jump out of your hand and hit on your head. Don't do this. So it is a matter of consciousness. This writing name here, writing name there is not going to do anything.
People can Hare Krishna can't pay anymore. Some people are crazy. But one question I don't understand is on spiritual world, Krishna is 16 years old, all people 16 years old. But we have some avatars like Rapadev, Parashuram, Vyasadeva, he is more than 16 years old. Is this a special deal of Krishna or some not?
That is because he has a spiritual body and it does not grow.
This is like Deva. Within spiritual world, Vyasadeva also old man. Not his 60.
He is also young there.
Young. And Vyasadeva also young.
Yes.
Whatever
Whatever is needed, if the need is there to be young, then they are young. If there is no need, then they are old. It's all for the pastime, for Leela. It's like when you make a play. So in the play you need some old characters, some young characters, right? So as the need is there, then they have characters like that. Alright?
When you talk about experience, it depends on experience you have when you go on spiritual path. When you talk before, experience means past lives. What you mentioned? You said it.
Past life, also in this life, not only past. Experience, you are always having experiences in this life also.